The TV flickered in the corner of the living room. Sarah, a single mum from Iowa, watched with growing unease. The election results were trickling in. Her heart pounded in her chest. It felt like a bad dream, one she couldn't wake up from. The numbers weren't looking good. Trump was pulling ahead. Fear coiled in her stomach, cold and tight. This couldn't be happening, not again. Sarah's two young sons, oblivious to their mother's worry, chased each other around the room, giggling. Their innocent joy was a stark contrast to the dread that filled her. She forced a smile, not wanting to spoil their fun, but inside she was crumbling. She knew what a Trump presidency meant for her family, for her country, and it terrified her. The final results flashed across the screen, confirming her worst fears. Trump had won. Sarah's breath hitched. Her body went numb. The room, filled with the echoes of her son's laughter just moments before, now felt heavy with dread. She looked at her boys, their faces flushed with excitement, and made a silent vow. She would protect them no matter what, even if it meant leaving everything behind. The days that followed the election were a blur. The news was a constant barrage of Trump's divisive rhetoric and controversial policies. Sarah felt a growing sense of unease. It was like a shadow had fallen over her beloved Iowa, over the entire country. She saw the changes in her community, felt the growing division. People she had known for years, people she considered friends, were suddenly strangers. Their conversations were laced with anger, their eyes filled with a disturbing fanaticism. Sarah felt increasingly isolated, alone in her fear and despair. Sarah worried about the impact Trump's presidency would have on her sons. She wanted them to grow up in a country where they felt safe, where they were valued and respected, regardless of their race or religion. But with Trump at the helm, she feared for their future. She saw the hate and bigotry that he was unleashing, and she knew it wouldn't be long before it reached their doorstep. The decision to flee America, her home, wasn't an easy one. It was a decision born of desperation, of a mother's love for her children. Sarah spent hours researching different countries, weighing her options. Canada seemed like the most viable choice. It was close, familiar, and offered the promise of a better life. Packing up her life was harder than she imagined. Every item she touched held a memory, a lifetime of experiences in the only home she had ever known. How could she fit all those memories into a few suitcases? How could she explain to her sons why they had to leave their friends, their school, their life behind? The thought of leaving her friends and family filled Sarah with sadness. But the fear, the gnawing anxiety for her son's future was stronger. She knew she couldn't stay, not in a country that no longer felt safe, a country that seemed to be slipping further into darkness with each passing day. As Sarah and her sons boarded the plane to Canada, she felt a mix of emotions, fear, sadness, but also a glimmer of hope. The future was uncertain, but she was determined to build a good life for her children, a life free from fear and prejudice. She knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Starting over in a new country came with its own set of challenges, but she was willing to face them. For the sake of her children, she had to believe that there was still hope, that even in the darkest of times, light could be found. As the plane soared into the sky, leaving behind the country that had been her home for so long, Sarah made a silent promise to herself. She would fight for a better future, for her children, for all children. She would never stop believing in the power of hope, the power of love to overcome even the darkest of times.